Hi guys, welcome to our channel. We're expanding our horizon and today we're going to show you how we did our bed platform for our RAV4 Hybrid. Please feel free to follow along. If you're wondering how we remove the rear seat, we have a video right here, step by step. Go watch that, and once you're done, come back and then we can continue with the bed platform video. And please, if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. You can also DM us on Instagram. We'll be more than happy to assist you. Now, let's go ahead and get started.
Okay, so once you have those rear seats removed, the next step is building your platform. So what you want to do is you're going to go ahead and remove this carpeted base of your trunk. It'll show you where your spare tire is, aka extra storage, and you are also going to remove this black plastic piece. That metal in the center will be your base for the bed, but be careful because there are plastic pieces that hold it to that center, and we did break ours, so be extra careful when you remove yours. So since that center metal piece is going to have a piece of wood on top of it, what we did was we put electrical tape, very thick electrical tape, on the metal so that when the wood is on top of it, it doesn't make any clanking or vibrating noises while we're driving. We also recommend putting your bench back in so you have somewhere to sit while you're doing all this. That's what we did, that's what we're sitting on at the moment. But as you can see here, you have a wood piece and it is cut to fit the metal. It doesn't have to be perfect size and whatnot. It is just for the base of your platform. However, you do want the holes to line up exactly to where the holes are on the bottom. So how we did this is we took a piece of paper and we lined it up with the holes, because the holes unfortunately are not in a straight line, so you do have some variable in degree on where they are on the metal. When you have the holes punched into the paper, we did use that guide and drill it into the holes with a drill bit. Just make sure that whatever size drill bit you use, it does fit the size zip tie that you're using. We did get the largest zip ties that Walmart was selling at the time, and when we did that, we made sure that the head of the zip tie fit into the wood. So what you want to do is you want to take a drill bit that's slightly larger than the one that you used on the bottom and drill halfway through the wood, and this will allow the head of the zip tie to fall through without it going all the way through the wood. So how we're going to do this is we're not going to use any nails or screws. We're going to take a zip tie, put it through the bottom, and then we're going to fish it out basically on the other side of the hole. As you can see here, I'm folding this in half to make almost like a scooper. And then when I put the zip tie through, I'm going to catch it on the other side. And then as it goes through it, I'm going to pull up and I'm going to grab the zip tie on the other side and pull it through just like that. So that's basically the same concept that we're going to do, but with the wood. And then once the wood's in there, you're going to tighten it and all that fun stuff. So here I'm going to show you how to do it with the wood there. You're going to take your zip tie just like you did before in your practice one, and you're going to put it through. Once it's through, you're going to do the same thing that you did before. You're going to put it into the hole of the metal. And I recommend putting the wood on its side. It does help. This is the trickiest part of the whole build. The rest is relatively easy. But if you don't want to have any nails or building anything with screws, this is the best way, in our opinion, to have it done. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and fish that through and pull up. It is taking a minute. Like I said, this is the most tedious part of the whole thing. And then you're going to put it through the hole of the bottom of the wood there. So we did a lot of holes in the wood. You probably could get away with doing less, but we just want it to be extra secure. So we did do as many as we could fit basically, and I think that ended up being 4 or 5 of them. And then you're going to tighten them across. You don't want to just tighten one, you want to tighten them throughout. You don't want to just go from left to right and make them as tight as you possibly can, because then you might not have an even piece of wood. So what we did was we went across, we just kept tightening them, and then we're going to push the head of the zip tie down into the hole that we drilled, and then the head won't be popping out and making a disturbance when you're putting the rest of your platform on top of it. So once that's all done and you cut all those things off the top, you're going to go ahead and take the cutout of your platform. So it's just the cutout of the back of your car. A lot of people use cardboard. We used cardboard, but then we also put that onto a gym mat. So the gym mat, the idea of the gym mat is to prevent moisture buildup when we're in the car. So we have a layer of gym mats on top and on the bottom of the plywood that we use. This helped a lot. We just didn't want any mold issues, and we know that gym mats absorb water and also repel water, so we just thought that that would be the best route. So once you have that cut out onto the gym mat, you're going to trace that onto your plywood. We used the cheapest, thinnest plywood that they sold at Lowe's. So if you wanted to just get a nice piece of plywood, that might be the easier solution. But we took the cheap route. We did not take the easy route, unfortunately. So if you also have a thin piece of plywood, go ahead and cut out the first half of the car. So the car area that is behind the front seats to that metal piece on the back of the wood. You're going to cut it to fit there. And you don't want it to rest on that black plastic on the corner. You want it to rest on the wood. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and trim ours to make it fit properly. And as you can see, now it's magically fixed. You didn't have to do any of the cutting. We just snapped our fingers and now it's fixed. Just kidding. But here you can see that it is now resting on top of the wood there. And now we have some type of platform. Like I said, if you had a thick piece of plywood, this is probably the end of your build. That's probably all you would have to do and you would be set. But we did not do that, so we're going to continue. So we did use a cover up for our bench. We recommend doing the same thing just so that your fabric on your seats doesn't get ruined. So when you're putting the wood on top of it, you want to make sure that it is level. Ours was not level at first. We did have to play around with it. But if you cut it properly and you measure twice and cut once, like I said earlier, you will be set. We did not do that, unfortunately. So just learn from a mistake. Make sure everything's good. Make sure the zip ties are all neatened out and taped down. As you can see here, we just basically did an L shape of the wood, and that will be holding our piece of plywood up for us. You just measure from the ground up as high as you want your platform to be. We wanted it to be level with the piece of wood that's on top of the metal in the center of the car. Also, just make sure that your hybrid battery does not have any obstruction to it. This is very important to make sure it runs properly and that everything is level. So what we did here is we took some curtain hooks and we put a piece of wood on the edge of the plywood so that when we put our thin plywood in, it wouldn't press down on the seat. So this was our resolution for having poor construction knowledge. We just took a curtain hook and basically created a shelf for that piece of wood so that when that was on top, it wouldn't go down. Obviously, we used duct tape. Duct tape is the backup for the untrained handyman, so we obviously put duct tape on everything. And while that alone was pretty sturdy, we are 2 people, so we did decide to put another piece of wood in the center of those just to make sure that our thin plywood wasn't breaking or bending. We also added some extra pieces of wood just to fill in the gaps. Would it have been easier just to get a thicker piece of plywood? Probably. Did we do that? No. So if we were to do it again, I think we would do definitely a thick piece of plywood, and that would be much easier. So back here, you can see that our black cover was bending in on our first round because we didn't have anything supporting it. So we did cut a little bit of 2x4s and put them on either corner, and that seemed to do the trick from having that black piece from folding in. So that did help a lot. I know it's this tiny piece of wood, but it did help with the bending of the black piece in the back. So then you can go ahead and put those there if you'd like. That's totally optional. It's just something that we figured we'd point out to you guys because of our experiences. It does hold it up on the sides much better than if they were not there. So once you have all that stuff set up, your build is basically done. You just have to go ahead and put in some extra nails. Make sure that those don't move. We just used these very cheap nails from Publix, the only ones they had sold there. So if you have better nails, go ahead and go for it, but we did just use some thin, cheap nails to keep them in place. It also helps if you have to remove the build to just pull them right out. It does just pull right out, and you don't really have to worry about it sliding while you're on the road, but also when you get back, you can just take apart your build without having too much hassle. So now you're going to go ahead and put your plywood in. You're going to make sure it's level, make sure it's sturdy, make sure you did everything right. And if it all is well, it should fit right in there. You should be able to sit on it, no problem. You should be able to dance on it, no problem. We went ahead and put our gym mats in just to prevent any condensation. Of course, we did have another layer of plywood and an additional gym mat, so we lost some headspace there. But if you wanted to just do a piece of plywood, you will be able to fully sit up in your build and almost have an office space if you wanted to. So the last thing that we did was cut out the plywood that's going to go on top of the gym mat. So this plywood's also a thin, cheap piece of plywood. So we have another gym mat that went on top of it that added some strength to it while also maintaining its flexibility. So the reason why we needed the flexibility is because when we go access our trunk space, we needed our build to bend. So that's why the thin plywood worked best for us. We can show you in another video how we went ahead and accessed everything, but under there you can see is the bendable plywood to access our spare tire and all of that. So that's just something to think of if you're going to do a hard piece of plywood that if you wanted to access underneath the storage. So as you can see from the side, we don't have anything resting on the seat or on the hybrid battery. Everything is resting on the build that we have there. And the gym mats are doing a good job at preventing moisture between everything. And we do have a final layer of gym mat going on the top, just as an extra precaution to not have any moisture. We did not want it to smell. We did not want it to have any mold. So that's just another precaution that you can take, as well as coating it in some polyurethane, which we did as well. So surprisingly, you actually have headspace to sit up in this. That's why we did a low build. I'll show you guys later on how we have storage to keep everything. Luckily, we're fortunate enough to figure out a way to have all of our stuff fit in here without making a mess. Here you can see Abe, he's pretty tall. He can lay down fully in this build, and we do have two people. I'm pretty tall as well, and we're both pretty happy campers in here, to say the least.
So we know some things were missing on our video. That's because originally we didn't intend on recording a video of a build. However, we decided to put some things together for you guys. Hopefully it is of help, because we know how frustrating it can be to try to figure out a way of working around the hybrid battery, but hopefully this helps. Also, you're probably wondering how we find storage for two people with a bed platform. We do have seen other builds where the bed platform is a little bit higher and the storage is underneath the bed. They even have drawers that can be pulled out. It's very complex and beautiful. However, we're not that handy, so we decided to go with another solution that we're gonna post very soon, where you don't have to sacrifice comfort, headspace, or stuff. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate you guys taking the time to look at our channel. We already have a few people reaching out to us with questions, and that makes us really excited to continue creating content for you. We understand that the building process can become really overwhelming. However, you're not alone. If you have any questions, leave them down below. DM us on Instagram. You can even shoot us an email. We'll be there for you to answer any questions you may have. If you like this video, please hit the like button. And if you want to see more content that we post, just don't forget to subscribe. Until next time.